Someone wanted to lose weight quickly, safely, drastically. What would they severely eliminate? The carbs. Someone wanted to conquer cancer. What would they quite drastically drop? The carbs. Someone wanted to conquer their diabetes. What would they drop? The carbs.
Could high-carb diets be fueling cancer and heart disease? It's a critical question that deserves more attention. While carbohydrates have traditionally been viewed as a cornerstone of a balanced diet, emerging research points to potential risks associated with consuming high levels of refined carbs. These can cause blood sugar spikes, insulin resistance, inflammation, and weight gain, key contributors to heart disease and cancer. In today's video, Dr. Barbara O'Neill dives deep into the science behind these connections. This video is a must-watch if you're serious about protecting your health. By the end, you'll gain eye-opening insights into how your diet impacts your health and discover actionable steps to set things right. The high-carbohydrate diet. Explained.
And never in the history of mankind have human beings consumed so many carbohydrates. We've become high carbohydrate consumers, whether I'm in England or Scotland or Australia or America. High carbohydrate consumers. The most popular breakfast food is cereal. We know it's popular because there's a whole aisle devoted to it in the supermarket. And it's very popular because people don't have to cook. All they have to do is open the packet, pour it into a bowl, pour milk on it, goes like wet tissue paper, it's down the hatch quickly and they're out the door. Because so many people are going to bed late because of technology usually. And so they wake up with not much time before they have to get out the door and to work, so they want a quick breakfast. Another quick breakfast can be bread, toast. Now because these two foods don't take you very far, usually mid-morning people are looking for cakes, cookies, donuts, they will say cakes, etc. And I know in Australia, Australians love their pies. That's another quick food. And Europeans have introduced us all to pizza, another fast food. Pasta, I don't think there's a home today without pasta in it. But as a child, growing up in the 50s, 60s, we didn't know what pasta was. I don't think it was till probably the mid-70s when I was in my 20s that I first had pasta. Also, rice. I know as a fifth generation Australian Scottish descent, we actually really never had rice. It wasn't until I was about 18, 19 and started going to Chinese restaurants that we started having rice. My husband's an Irishman, so every main meal must contain potatoes. In Australia we call them chips. I think in America you call them French fries. Is that right? And the pure crystallized acid that's been extracted from the sugarcane plant, sugar.
Who doesn't love high-carb foods? These have become staples in many Western countries, fueled by the popularity of processed products, fast food culture, and the need for convenience. As people's lives get busier, they often turn to quick, carb-heavy meals and snacks, which tend to be more affordable and accessible than healthier alternatives. In the United States, the average daily carbohydrate consumption is roughly 300 grams, with most of it coming from refined sources. In contrast, low-carb diets focus on reducing carb intake to around 50 to 100 grams per day, prioritizing nutrient-dense whole foods like vegetables, nuts, and lean proteins. How high carbohydrates affect the body.
All of these foods break down in the gastrointestinal tract to a singular structure called glucose. Now the glucose goes on the M1 main highway, portal vein, straight to the project manager. And then the project manager determines where this glucose goes. So the first place that the liver will send the glucose, number one, is to the cell to be burnt as fuel. But on a high carbohydrate diet, you got a lot of glucose left over. And so now the body stores it in what I call the most amazing fuel, quick fuel supply in the body. It's called glycogen. They're little molecules of glucose just sitting in your muscle cell waiting to be used. So number 2, the glucose is stored as glycogen. I call glycogen the diabetic's best kept secret, because if blood sugar goes low, what do? Get on the exercise bike, release your glycogen stores. But on a high carbohydrate diet, we've still got glucose left over. And so now the body stores that glucose under the direction of the liver in the most amazing fuel depot in the body. It's called fat cells. And what's happening to Americans on their high carbohydrate diet? They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the third place that the liver will cause all the excess to be stored is as fat.
Simple carbohydrates commonly found in sugary treats, white bread, and processed foods are rapidly absorbed by the body, causing quick spikes in blood sugar levels. These frequent surges can lead to insulin resistance, elevated blood sugar, and an increased likelihood of developing type 2 diabetes. Over time, persistently high blood sugar can trigger inflammation and damage blood vessels, raising the risk of heart disease. Diets rich in refined carbs are also associated with obesity, since these foods are calorie-dense but lack essential nutrients, often leading to overeating and weight gain. Excess weight further elevates the risk of chronic health problems, including cancer. On the other hand, complex carbohydrates, found in whole grains, vegetables, and legumes, are digested at a slower pace, offering a steady energy release while helping to stabilize blood sugar levels. These nutrient-rich carbs are high in fiber, which supports digestion, promotes feelings of fullness, and regulates blood sugar. A diet abundant in complex carbs is linked to a reduced risk of chronic conditions such as heart disease and cancer. The cancer connection.
You see, cancer cells consume 15 times the glucose of any other cell. Cancer cells are living up here in this very fast pathway, not giving much energy, don't have to have oxygen. Cancer cannot survive in the presence of oxygen. You see, Dr. Atkins discovered that all his cancer patients were going into remission. I don't know whether he realized at the time of writing his book or the time of his death, the full ramifications of that. As Dr. Holland says in the book, The Germ That Causes Cancer, when you deprive cancer cells of glucose, they self-destruct. We've had some very impressive turnarounds of people stopping all carbs. In fact, you'll see this in my book, but I suggest if someone has cancer, no fruit for 6 weeks. Very little carbohydrates for 6 weeks. It's designed to give a sledgehammer knock to cancer cells.
Cancer cells are infamous for their rapid consumption of glucose, utilizing it up to 15 times faster than normal cells. This increased glucose uptake fuels their energy demands and provides the building blocks for their uncontrolled growth and proliferation. This phenomenon is closely tied to the Warburg effect, named after German biochemist Otto Warburg. The Warburg effect describes how cancer cells favor anaerobic glycolysis for energy production, even when oxygen is readily available. Unlike healthy cells, which rely on oxidative phosphorylation in the mitochondria to produce around 36 ATP molecules per glucose molecule, cancer cells prioritize glycolysis. Though glycolysis produces only 2 ATP per glucose molecule, it generates crucial intermediates needed for rapid cell division. This metabolic shift amplifies cancer cells' glucose dependency. In the glycolytic pathway, glucose is broken down into pyruvate, yielding ATP and NADH, which are vital for cellular processes. For cancer cells, this pathway not only supplies the energy required for their fast proliferation, but also produces the biosynthetic precursors necessary to synthesize nucleotides, amino acids, and lipids essential for cell growth. Research published in Cancer and Metabolism highlights a direct link between high blood glucose levels and increased tumor growth and metastasis. Additionally, diets rich in refined sugars may accelerate cancer progression by supplying the glucose needed to sustain glycolysis, underscoring the importance of managing dietary sugar intake in cancer prevention and care. The heart disease connection.
Stop the carbs, high fiber, but the protein and the fat is meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs. Can you do it on a vegetarian diet? Because I'm obviously a vegetarian. You can. Let me show you. And we're going to go to Genesis 1:29, where God is telling Adam and Eve what to eat. And can you improve on that? Not really. The Creator telling man what to eat. So to understand how the heart runs, to understand what it needs, to understand what weakens it, to understand what strengthens it, we need to go to the CBD, the Central Business District of the human body. So here is our cell, and this week we've been looking at the glucose coming in. Last night we looked at insulin.
Excess carbohydrate consumption triggers glycation, a biochemical process where sugar molecules, such as glucose, bind to proteins or lipids without enzyme involvement. This reaction produces harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which can accumulate in the body and contribute to various health problems, including cardiovascular disease and neurodegenerative disorders. A common misconception is that cholesterol is inherently harmful. In reality, cholesterol is an essential substance in the body, playing a key role in forming cell membranes, producing hormones, and synthesizing vitamin D and bile acids. Cholesterol travels through the bloodstream attached to lipoproteins, primarily low-density lipoprotein, LDL, and high-density lipoprotein, HDL. LDL, often dubbed bad cholesterol, can contribute to plaque buildup in arteries when levels are too high, increasing the risk of atherosclerosis and heart disease. However, not all LDL is equally harmful. Small, dense LDL particles are more likely to cause problems than their larger counterparts. On the other hand, HDL, known as good cholesterol, plays a protective role by removing excess cholesterol from the bloodstream and transporting it back to the liver for excretion. Higher HDL levels are associated with a reduced risk of heart disease, making it an important factor in maintaining cardiovascular health. Why reducing carbs can be beneficial.
Now, Dr. Robert Atkins knew that science. So he looked at himself getting this, what we call spare tire. So he decided to do an experiment on himself. He decided to stop all carbohydrates. What did he eat? He ate a lot of vegetables, okay? And a lot of people don't realize that, with the exclusion of the potato. So he was eating a lot of fiber. And he knew also that the gastrointestinal tract needed to move through the next two food groups. He ate a lot of meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs. So there was his protein. And meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs was also supplying another food group, which was fat.
The Atkins diet, a low-carbohydrate, high-fat eating plan, has been shown to significantly improve cardiovascular health by addressing key risk factors for heart disease. It effectively lowers triglyceride levels while boosting high-density lipoprotein, HDL cholesterol, which helps transport excess cholesterol out of the bloodstream. Moreover, it can shift low-density lipoprotein, LDL particles from small, dense forms, more likely to contribute to plaque buildup, to larger, less harmful types. The Atkins diet also reduces systemic inflammation, a major driver of heart disease, and improves insulin sensitivity, promoting better blood sugar control and lowering the risk of type 2 diabetes. Research supports that low-carb diets can positively influence these markers of cardiovascular health, further emphasizing their potential to reduce heart disease risk. Despite its high-fat content, the Atkins diet's ability to manage triglycerides, enhance HDL cholesterol levels, and regulate insulin sensitivity makes it a promising approach to improving heart health and preventing cardiovascular issues. Numerous studies highlight the advantages of reducing high carbohydrate consumption for improving weight management, blood sugar levels, and cholesterol profiles. For example, research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, 2008, compared low-carbohydrate diets to low-fat diets and found that participants following low-carb diets achieved greater weight loss. They also showed significant improvements in cholesterol markers, including lower triglyceride levels and higher HDL, good cholesterol. Practical advice: how to transition to a lower-carb diet. To effectively lower carbohydrate intake, start by focusing on replacing high-carb foods with low-carb alternatives. Begin by cutting back on refined grains and sugars. Preferably, choose whole grains like quinoa or brown rice in smaller portions, and limit sugary snacks and beverages. Incorporate more non-starchy vegetables into your meals, such as leafy greens, bell peppers, and broccoli, which provide essential nutrients without excessive carbs. Include protein-rich foods like lean meats, fish, eggs, and legumes, which help maintain satiety and stabilize blood sugar levels. Opt for healthy fats found in avocados, nuts, and olive oil, which can replace carbohydrates and provide sustained energy. Additionally, reading nutrition labels can help identify hidden carbs in packaged foods. Planning and preparing meals ahead of time can also ensure you have low-carb options readily available, reducing the temptation to reach for high-carb choices. You can always start your day with a high-protein, low-carb meal featuring scrambled eggs cooked with spinach and avocado. This meal is rich in healthy fats and protein, providing a satisfying and nutritious start to the day. For lunch, a refreshing salad is prepared with mixed greens, grilled chicken, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, and a homemade low-carb dressing. This meal is light yet filling, focusing on lean protein and a variety of low-carb vegetables. Next, dinner consists of baked salmon fillets, served with a side of roasted Brussels sprouts and a small portion of cauliflower rice. The salmon provides healthy omega-3 fats, while the vegetables and cauliflower rice keep the meal low in carbohydrates. For snacking throughout the day, low-carb snacks such as a handful of nuts and a serving of Greek yogurt with a few berries are included, offering additional protein and fiber while staying within low-carb guidelines. By making these practical adjustments, you can effectively manage your carbohydrate intake, supporting overall health and well-being. Addressing common misconceptions. There's a common misconception that carbohydrates are essential for energy. While carbs are a primary fuel source for many, the body can effectively use fats and proteins as alternative energy sources. When carbohydrate intake is reduced, the body enters a state called ketosis, where fat is broken down into ketones, which serve as a reliable energy source. Additionally, the body can convert protein into glucose through gluconeogenesis to meet its energy needs. For most people, reducing carbohydrates is safe. However, individuals with kidney disease should exercise caution, as the higher protein intake often associated with low-carb diets can put added strain on the kidneys. Similarly, those with gallbladder issues may need to avoid the high-fat content typical of such diets to prevent complications. Consulting a healthcare professional or dietitian before making significant dietary changes is essential to ensure the approach aligns with your health needs and conditions. We've explored how high-carbohydrate diets can play a significant role in the development of cancer and heart disease. Consuming large amounts of refined carbohydrates causes spikes in blood sugar, leading to insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and weight gain, all of which are major risk factors for these serious health conditions. Cancer cells, in particular, depend on glucose for energy and rapid division, making high blood sugar levels a driving factor in tumor growth and progression. Additionally, high carbohydrate intake contributes to glycation, a process that produces harmful molecules, damaging blood vessels, and increasing the risk of heart disease. On the other hand, low-carb diets provide numerous health benefits. Reducing carbohydrate consumption can help lower triglycerides, boost HDL, good cholesterol, and improve insulin sensitivity, all of which support heart health. Low-carb eating can also aid in weight management, reduce inflammation, and lower cancer risk. Even small dietary changes can make a big difference in improving your overall health. It's all about making informed decisions that suit your body's needs. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit from this knowledge. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated with more tips for living a healthier life.